Hello. I'm going to give basically a description of how I see human nature, the nature that we all possess, and it's based on many years of study. I am not a professional. I am a professional scientist, but I'm not a professional philosopher or a psychiatrist or psychologist. But I've been doing a lot of. I've spent a good part of my life thinking about these things, and like to give you the benefit of all that. Well, Aristotle had some simple definitions of what makes up a nature in the world in which we live, and basically he divided the principles within each entity as into prime matter and substantial form. Now, prime matter is the material of which all things are made for Aristotle, and substantial form is the principle, the active principle that makes that entity what it is. So if it's a horse, the substantial form is one of horse. If it's a pig, the substantial form is one of pig. And if it's a tree, the substantial form is one of tree. Humans have their own substantial form, and what's different about us, and we'll get to that in a little bit, is that we are capable of rational thought, something that the other species don't seem to have. Well, at our what Aristotle called prime matter, that's out of date as far as I'm concerned. It's prime matter was meant to be the material out of which all things are made. Today, basic physics tells us that all things are made out of atoms. And atoms are made out of more fundamental particles, such as protons, neutrons, and as we proceed further and further on in our exploratory actions regarding, microscopic particles, we are able to extract more and more possible particles. So that there are many particles, but they're all similar in the sense that they're nuclear, and they are the material. They form the material of which all things are made. So I think our prime matter today is really the atoms, the molecules, the basic constituents of all things in our world. Now, some of those things that atoms and such constitute are animate, and some are not. Or, well, I shouldn't say animate. I'll say living, because the material. I'm sorry. The vegetative species are living, but they are not animate in the sense that an animal would be animate. The substantial form, really, today, looking at it as a physicist, is the DNA structure. The structure of the DNA as exemplified within the DNA molecular constituent, and also as portrayed in the form of the body that results from the activities of DNA interacting with environmental influences. So that for myself, for example, I'm a human being. I am composed of the same matter, if you want to label it as prime matter, atoms, molecules, as the rest of the world. We're all made out of the same stuff. But I have a substantial form as expressed in my DNA molecule, of my DNA structure that makes me a human being. So there's matter and form today as compared to Aristotle's prime matter and substantial form. Now, so all of my capabilities, just about, in terms of being a living animal, a living being, an animate being, arise from the basics of the DNA, of my DNA structure. And so that's the now. Now we have consciousness, and we've talked about that in the past. Consciousness is on the lowest level. Consciousness is my basic awareness of everything. It's my awareness of the world that I'm living in, something that the brain creates for us. And it enables us to navigate the world in a more efficient way than just working with native brain data. Now, consciousness is present, I believe, in just about all animate creatures, not in the vegetative, but in the animal species, including, fish, creatures of the sea, birds. All animate objects, I believe, have some form of consciousness. In man, though, it is highly developed and it gives rise to a consciousness that is superior to what is found in other species. And this consciousness has a lower form and then a higher form. On the lower form of consciousness, it simply is something that we experience, that we do. For example, we sense an object, and maybe that object might be pleasant to sense, and so it elicits feelings in us. And I think, I have 2 pet dogs, and they appear to be well aware when I'm around. They like for me to pet them. They like to play, and I sense that they're warm toward me. They're not going to hurt me. I don't want to use the word love, but some form of affection, I think, is appropriate. And but they have those experiences. But here's something important. They don't think about them. They're not aware of them in a sense that I'm aware of my own experiences, and I'm talking to you about them right now. They don't do these things. They don't do rational thought. But we do. We humans do. And it's that ability that we have to kind of step back and take a look at our conscious activity and say, well, that's what we want, or that isn't what we want. Maybe we should change courses, or maybe we should make this decision or that decision. At that level of consciousness, where we know, it's the same, I think, as the I think of Descartes. Here we know that we are having experiences, and we can reflect on it, and we can make decisions at a high level. Now, we make decisions at a lower level all the time, but these are more or less impulsive or automatic. They're not reflective. But at the higher level, we make decisions after reflection. And that's where we really have, if we talk about free will, that's where it is. So man is a wonderful creature. I keep saying man, but I mean men and women. Don't mean to leave you out, ladies. But you know, we are wonderful creatures in the sense that we can talk about, think about, and talk about what's happening in our life, in our awareness, and in our consciousness. And that's the level too. Not only are we free, I would label that level as spiritual, or that is the spirit. That higher level represents the spirit in us, and it now is it's our link to even higher entities. For example, God and Christ. It's our link to the higher supernatural level, which we are very, very fortunate to have. Thank God. Amen.